Good evening, bonsoir, Annie. We'll start off tonight's meeting with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin the meeting with acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Doki's First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous people and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. And with that, we have the adoption of the agenda, but we have an amendment to do. So I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Bob and Counselor Willie.
Moved and seconded, be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as amended to add item 7.1, a request for support from the municipality of Castleman in regard to fixing municipal funding.
All those in favor? Okay. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. There are no delegations. We'll continue on to reports and items for consideration. We have 6.1 general government, 6.1.1. We have the quarterly report. It's in the package. I believe everybody had a chance to read it. Did anybody have any questions for Mel? Everything is good? Okay. We'll continue on to 6.2 finances. No. 6.3 public works and environmental services. 6.3.1, a resolution to implement a 12-week food cycler pilot project was presented at the meeting of October 2nd. And I believe we need a mover and a seconder, and then Kevin will speak to this. So Councillor Dave and Councillor Dean. And we'll open it up to you.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Tonight, we're going to talk about the food cycler program and the survey results we got from SurveyMonkey. The survey received 179 responses, indicating strong community engagement and interest. 88% of the respondents expressed willingness to participate in the pilot program. Concerns were minimal, focusing primarily on upfront costs and the need for clear user guidance on the machines. Interest was particularly high among residents without access to traditional composting methods, like people in apartments and don't have large backyards. The proposed pilot project, pilot scope, conduct a 12-week pilot project with 100 households to evaluate the program effectiveness. The first 100 people to register will be part of the project. The financial model, as we spoke before, the municipal investment will be $11,800, including shipping. Implementation plan, we're looking March 2025, registration and participant selection. April 2025, distribution of food cycler units. And then in August, data collection and evaluation of the pilot outcomes. So that's where the food cycler company is going to report back to us, so we know how it made out. Conclusion that council approves the implementation of a 12-week food cycler pilot project involving 100 households with a net municipal cost of $11,800, and direct staff to report back with findings and recommendations for future program expansion.
All right, does anybody have any questions for?
I do.
None? Giselle, go ahead.
Up
Yep.
here.
Yes, go ahead.
Kevin, can you tell me, when you did the survey, did it show how many were seasonal and how many were permanent people living here?
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't believe, no, we didn't ask that.
Okay, no, the reason I ask is because I would imagine that a lot of seasonal would be interested because they're used to composting and the green bins, which we don't offer here. So I would have been interested in knowing, if they wanted to participate. But thank you. That's good.
Good question. So I believe, Mel, we have a resolution.
So it's been moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council approves the implementation of a 12-week food cycler pilot project involving 100 households with a net municipal cost of 11,800 and directs staff to report back with findings and recommendations for future program expansion.
All those in favor? Okay, passed. Thank you. 6.4 Recreation Community Services is nil. 6.5 Emergency and Protection Services. 6.5.1 we have signed bylaw review and update, and I believe Kevin will speak to this again.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Tonight, we're bringing forward a draft bylaw for just updating our current sign bylaw. The current sign bylaw contains some gaps in areas that require updates. Just for example, growth in temporary and portable signs. With more businesses and events using portable signs, there's a need to better regulate their placement, ensure they don't obstruct roadways, create safety hazards. For election signs, the provisions related to election signs need to be clarified, particularly regarding their size, placement near voting locations, timelines for the removals. Then we have sign maintenance and abandonment, and then some penalties and enforcement. Some of the proposed changes, expanded definitions, broader definitions of what constitutes a sign, a portable sign and an abandoned sign. Clearer distinctions between temporary and permanent signage with appropriate regulations for each. Updated provisions for portable and election signs. Stricter timelines for display and removal election signs, including maximum size limit and prohibition. Enhanced maintenance and removal provisions, requirements for sign owners to maintain their signs and the state of repair, including clear criteria for identifying abandoned and damaged signs. Stronger penalty enforcement mechanisms, fines for offenses such as improper sign placement, failure to remove abandoned signs or erecting signs without proper permissions. Clarity on public and private property. Clear guidelines for sign placement on municipal or public property, including utility poles, road allowances with more stringent restrictions on sign placement that may obstruct for public safety. Conclusion that council reviews the draft bylaw sign or draft sign bylaw and provide any comments or feedbacks to the bylaw department for further consideration. Once all feedback is received, the final version will be prepared for council's approval.
Does anybody have any questions or? Go ahead, Councillor Roger.
Chair, these big signs that they put in, let's say at the entrance of Alvin, they're from 69. Do we have any control over that?
Through you, Madam Chair. No, those are MTO right away. We don't have any, we don't have anything that we can control that. That's their right away.
Because basically, you know, you come into Alvin or Noelville and it's green. Then all you see, to me, they're big ugly signs. And it doesn't help at all. Thank you.
Does anybody else? Mayor Pajot, go ahead. Yep.
I have a bunch of questions. So Madam Chair, is it okay if I go through all my questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So MTO takes care of all the billboards, right? Anything that goes up and down Highway 64, correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, that's correct. That's not municipal.
Okay, so if anybody has any complaints, then they can call MTO. My other question is, I had somebody call and ask me if the sign bylaw includes flags. My first reaction was no, but then I thought I better ask you.
Through you, Madam Chair. I don't believe we have flags down as like that's not a sign, right?
Well, yeah, that was my thought too, because I guess there's been some offensive signs or offensive flags or what people thought was offensive. So they wanted to know if that wasn't included in our sign bylaw. And in the sign bylaw, it says you have to have the written permission from the landowner. So if somebody wants to put a sign up on somebody's land, they have to have written permission. So is that registered with the municipality?
Through you, Madam Chair. No, it'd just be through the property owner, just so that way people aren't placing signs on private property. So if they are, they can call us and then we can deal with it.
Okay, so if they find themselves having a whole bunch of real estate signs on their land that wasn't authorized, they just call you and you'll take them out?
Correct.
Thank you. Hang on a second there. Okay, so another question I had was, especially during the summer, there are a lot of garage sales and estate sales and stuff like that. And people just put up signs anywhere and everywhere. So what's going to happen to those?
Through you, Madam Chair. Again, as long as they're following the regulations within the size and it's advertised within the property, then it would be allowed. This is what has all the regulations for them to follow. So they're not all over the place.
Okay,
As same
Besides-
as the real estate signs and everything else. So that way people aren't just placing these all over telephone poles and stop signs and
Exactly.
everywhere else.
exactly. And under section 4 of election signs, I just don't know what a sight triangle is. What is that?
Through you, Madam
Under,
Chair.
4.1.
It's
Yeah,
just the sight lines for at stop sign intersections, driveways. It's just a technical term used, I guess. We could dumb that down a little so it's a little easier. It's just sight lines for vehicle, like pulling out onto the roads and stuff. That's just the term that road
They use?
supervisors use.
Okay,
Yeah, corners, driveways, intersections, all that.
okay. And then my other question is, so if there's a sign that's considered vulgar or inappropriate or whatever, that's on a landowner's property, do our officers have the right to go and remove it?
Through you, Madam Chair, we do have on 3.3, no sign shall utilize any wording or characters that could be considered offensive, profane, hateful, obscene, or for unlawful activity. So they could get ticketed for that
They would get ticketed.
or
And it doesn't-
removal.
Or removal. Okay, perfect. And besides that, just to let you know, I think that this bylaw is really fantastic and very, very clear for people to understand. I believe that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Riley and Mel did a lot of background on this one, so they did a lot of work
Yeah.
on this.
I love it. I love it. Not sure everybody will agree, but I love it.
Thank you, Mayor Pejot. For me, Kevin, probably just one thing. Our local farmers in the summertime, a lot of them put farm fresh egg signs at the end of their driveways. Some have flowers, some have, how does this sign, will they still be allowed to put those signs there? Like, do we have something for those businesses or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. So it's gonna be the same thing. That's just, they gotta follow these regulations. It's private property, so they can still place signs as long as they follow, all these regulations, just the size and stuff. And
Okay.
what they can do, and they're not left out and abandoned and look horrible. So
Well-
just,
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Kevin, for the report, and I guess we'll wait till the bylaw comes up it'll come up, we'll have a resolution with the set fines and stuff.
if anybody has any comments or concerns, then just throw them off to the bylaw department, and then we'll bring it back as a final copy and circulate it before it comes back to final copy.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. We'll continue on to 6.5.2. We have a quarterly report from the Bylaw Service Department, and that's Kevin again.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Information on the Q4, the final of 2024. Q4 shows decrease in complaints, which is typically the case in the colder months of the year. We usually slow down in Q4. Focus stayed primarily on STRs for the 2024 season. AMPS has been the main ticketing enforcement tool for the bylaw department. We are finding it effective and the administration is improving with the use of the program. Official warnings are being utilized by enforcement officers to track instances where residents may have been warned about specific actions. For training, junior and senior MLEO attended training and acquired their ASP Tactical Baton certification, municipal enforcement canine self-defense certification, as well as officer escape to gain safety self-defense certifications. For Q4, we had 17 complaints with an overall of 106 formal complaints this year. So it's the highest year we've ever had. We've had Q4 6 provincial charges issued, 1 Part 3, 1 order, 10 AMPS penalty issued, and 8 official warnings. So for total for this year, we issued 40 AMPS tickets and 7 provincial tickets. Any questions?
Mayor Peugeot, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so under, I think it's on, well, hang on a second, maybe I'm ahead of myself. Nope, I'll wait for the next report. Sorry, it's under the next report.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you, Kevin. So on to the next report. We have 6.6, Building Planning and Development, 6.6.1, the quarterly report, Building Controls Department. And Andrea will speak to this.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. The Q4 report, the biggest highlights in building are that we ended up with an over $18 million in cost of construction for 2024, due in no small part to the seniors complex development, but also even without them, it was an excellent year for building. The department is going to be reviewing the construction bylaw, which will be reviewed and presented by the end of 2025. We're also making changes to the building application process, always with educating and limiting liability as much as possible as we're issuing building permits, and also to ensure that people are aware that building permits do expire so that we can work on closing building permits in a timely manner. That's going to be a big focus of the building department in the coming years. So the numbers were excellent for building, and I just wanted to just say a small shout out to the admin staff of our department who had such a large part in helping this short-term rental licensing program work very well in our first year in the municipality of French River. After passing the bylaw, we realized that there was a lot of administration that was going to have to be put in place, and our building and bylaw clerk, Sylvie Courchain, put in a lot of work to create and organize necessary forms and documentation. And our bylaw enforcement officer, Riley Merrifield, was really helpful in ensuring that we would have an efficient review and a checklist for bylaw and building inspections. So just wanted to make sure that they got some recognition for the hard work that they did. And then as far as reporting on anything for short-term rentals and travel trailers, the numbers haven't changed since our Q3 reports, but you're going to be seeing information about renewals coming in our Q1 report for 2025. So if anyone has any questions, I'll open it up now.
Okay, we'll start with Councillor Bob and then we'll go to Mayor Peugeot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Andrea, kind of a general question. Putting aside the senior complex, for the last 2 years, our numbers are pretty steady, and they had spiked in 22, and we all know why. Is this a trend in our neighbor municipalities that are partners with us in this project?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes. Yeah, I do believe that we're seeing a lot more single-family dwellings being built across the board. It does come down to availability of lots. Like Municipality of Killarney tends to not have as many homes, but they are creating lots now. So that's, if there are lots available, we are seeing building, I guess is a simple answer. But yeah, overall, we're seeing lower levels than the high spikes we saw in COVID, but definitely we're building more than we were at pre-COVID numbers.
Okay, and if I may follow up, also we were close to 50% of the activity, like if I can use that word, is that with the 4 municipality, is that pretty well still the same scenario?
If we take into account building and bylaw, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, because that's not how we're calculating our shared service anymore. We're really looking at overall number of role numbers. But I can get back to you with those numbers. I can't say, Councillor Prevost, that things change much. Even like when everyone was increasing, everyone increased. As everyone came down, everyone has also come down. I could come up with some better numbers, but I do believe that we're still at the same ratios that we were.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bob. Mayor Peugeot, if you want to chime in.
Thank you. Thank you. Andrea, this is a great report, and I know how hard it's been this year, especially with the short-term rentals and the trailer bylaw. I guess my question is, under travel trailers, we only have 4 issued permits, and we know that there are 100 or maybe hundreds of trailers in our municipality. Now, I guess people are not self-identifying. Is that the case?
Yep, through you, Madam Chair, I'll speak to that. So we did, last year was our year of education. So a lot of information was handed out to travel trailer owners. So 2025 was always meant to be the year where we really push for the licensing. So you'll see more enforcement and hopefully higher numbers this year.
Okay, thank you. That's good for me.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. I believe we'll go on with correspondence, which is the item 7.1, request for support from the municipality of Castleman, fixing municipal funding. I believe Mel, a mover and a seconder. Councillor Willie and Councillor Roger. And
It's a long one. Okay, it's moved and seconded, whereas current provincial municipal fiscal arrangements are undermining Ontario's economic prosperity and quality of life. Whereas nearly a third of the municipal spending in Ontario is for services in areas of provincial responsibility, and expenditures are outpacing provincial contributions by nearly 4 billion a year. Whereas municipal revenues, such as property taxes, do not grow with the economy or inflation. Whereas unprecedented population and housing growth will require significant investments in municipal infrastructure. Whereas municipalities are being asked to take on complex health and social challenges like homelessness, supporting asylum seekers, and addressing the mental health and addictions crisis. Whereas inflation, rising interest rates, and provincial policy decisions are sharply constraining municipal fiscal capacity. Whereas property taxpayers, including people on fixed incomes and small businesses, can't afford to subsidize income redistribution programs for those most in need. Whereas the province can and should invest more in the prosperity of communities. Whereas municipalities and the provincial government have a strong history of collaboration. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of French River urges that the province of Ontario commit to undertaking with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario a comprehensive social and economic prosperity review to promote the stability and sustainability of municipal finances across Ontario. And further, that a copy of this motion be sent to the Premier of Ontario, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Minister of Finance, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario.
all those in favor? Thanks, Mel. Sorry it was so long.
It's a
The consent agenda, I need a mover and a seconder to Councillor Dave and Councillor Dean.
moved and second to be resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under sections 8.1 and 8.4 and receives the items under section 8.2.
All those in favor? Okay, good. We have no notices of motion. We'll continue on to announcements and inquiries. And I'll let Counselor Dave start off.
I don't have very much to announce, other than I was at Roma a couple of weeks ago. It was a good conference. That's about it. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Counselor Dean?
Think I have even less to say. Nothing's happened since I had a big birthday party here. Thank you, except I got a few weeks older.
Thank you, Counselor Dean. Counselor Willie?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Counselor Bob?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to start off in saying thank you to our firemen for all the work they've put in since in the new year. They went over and beyond. I know some of them were exhausted, and just a big merci beaucoup to the firemen. Next weekend is our family hockey tournament. The influx of people we will be having in town. If you're around the arena, there'll be a lot of pedestrians. Please be careful. A lot of kids running all over the place. Please come and support the tournament, the families, the committee. All the money raised from this tournament is put back into the community. So please support. The seniors complex. I had a chance yesterday to go around again. I'm being told there the insulation, the blown insulation in the, I was going to say Arctic, but it's attics, is all done. They're done with that. They're all closed in. All the wiring that had to be done up there is all done and all the put down. The framing of the interior walls in building A and B are done. They're moving to C. The drywall is done in drywall and tape and mud is all done in building A. Moving to building B, should be starting to paint, he tells me, on Monday in building A. So they're moving along, and he says probably in 3 weeks we'll be starting flooring. But we'll get we have a meeting next Wednesday. We'll get further updates then. It's just that I'm a little nosy and always there looking. And also at our meeting next week, on Wednesday, we should be finalizing the applications. I'm being told by staff here, we're up to 136 names. The application will be coming out following our meeting, probably in the next week, rolling out to the people. Right now, we're just waiting on further bank interest rates so we can set down a final amount for rent. We have established a range of 1450 to 1550 for 1 bedroom and 1650 to 1750 for 2 bedrooms. But the final figures that will be given to us, that depends a lot on the interest rates. The following week, as I mentioned, we'll be rolling out applications to those people that their names are down. On February 26th and 27th, DESCON will be here to meet people and help them fill out the applications, those that need help. And we will be accepting applications, but no application will be processed before March 15th. So even if you apply on February 14th or March 14th, there's no preference. There's no first come, first served before March 15th. Next Tuesday, we will be having first meeting, subcommittee for Earth Day, starting to contact people and set things a little further. The Alban Community Center has been reserved for April 26th. Earth Day is on the 22nd, but we will be going to the Saturday, April 26th. And my final thing, I'd just like to welcome back a couple of businesses. Noelville Restaurant reopened yesterday, and I believe, as I call it, the Beau reopened yesterday also. So welcome back to those two businesses in our towns. And Madam Chair, that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That's a lot of information we didn't know. Counselor Roger?
Through you, Madam Chair. Again, I'm going to double up on what Councillor Bob just mentioned about the firefighters. Fire chief, the volunteer fire department have done an excellent job over the last 4 to 6 weeks. They've been very, very busy. And also a thank you to the families, because they go through a certain amount of stress when the call goes out. So again, thank you to the families and especially the volunteer fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Roger. Mayor Pajot? Did we have some heat yet? Oh, you're on mute. You're muted. You're on mute, Giselle. Giselle. You are on mute.
I have heat. I have heat and Giselle is
Yay.
happy. Okay, so I have a number of announcements. On Friday, Crime Stoppers and the OPP will be at the luncheon for the Alban seniors at noon and at 11:30, sorry. And then we'll talk about how to spot crimes, how to report crimes, and how to protect themselves. They will then be going to, on Wednesday, to the Noelville seniors and doing the same presentation. So I encourage everyone to attend those. On Saturday, the library through the grant and the seniors are having their Valentine's Day dance at the ACC, and anybody, and it's free. So anybody wishing to attend, please call the library. The next one is there is a debate with the 4 political parties being held in North Bay through sponsored by FNUM. The only question is that there's a charge of $130 a piece for anybody attending. And since we have a budget meeting tomorrow, I believe that's probably the most appropriate place to discuss it, because it'll change the amount of monies that we allocate for counselors to attend, conferences or whatever. So I believe it's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So perhaps when we're going through the government issues, and then we can talk about this, because that'll cost, if there's 4 or 5 of us wanting to go, it'll be about $1,200 or more. We also last week met with Donna Stewart from DSAB to talk about the frustration of not receiving enough services for the amount of monies that we're receiving, that we pay for in DSAB, namely the food bank and other educational programs. One of the things that I took from it was that there's no money. The government is certainly not supporting DSAB to the amount that they should be. And that when we do go to conferences, that perhaps in order to support DSAB, asking for monies or support, that we should be asking for delegations. So we have some upcoming conferences coming up, FNUM and AMO, and we should work with Donna Stewart to see how we can support them in getting us more money. And finally, the much anticipated video time capsule featuring Councillor Dean Wenborn is ready. And we are making arrangements to have a premiere, and that'll be held on March 4th, either at the municipality or at the ACC, because we are looking at inviting the schools to attend. So depending on the attendance, it'll either be held at the council chambers or at the ACC, but there'll be more news to come. But I'm told that the video is absolutely amazing, and my thanks goes to Carly and to Dean for making it happen. So those are my announcements.
Thank you, Mayor Pajot. Does the staff have anything to say? No. Just a little correction, your Friday night, the dance is on Friday night and not on Saturday night.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's on Friday. Did I
Friday
say
night, yeah.
Saturday?
You said Saturday, unless you
It
want
should
it
be
to last
Saturday.
until Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
7,
you
starts
never
at 7 till 11, so you know what kind of, we're getting into that age where we don't stay up till the next day. But it's set out to be a great event put on by the library. I believe local, it's a local band member, Danny, oh, what's his name? Yep. Shelley's kid, his half brother. Danny Miner. Danny Miner's band is playing, so he's local, so it'll be nice to hear his band. He's been playing in Sudbury for many years, so it'll be nice to hear him out here. Also another thing to mention, like Giselle was saying, DSAB was out, and they talked about the ambulance will start going to the senior lunches again to take blood pressure and to talk to the seniors, which they used to do. So that is continuing on. And they also said that those that were in need of either child daycare or low-income housing and stuff, to reach out to DSAB themselves to put their name on the list, even if they don't, they're looking and they know that there's no places available. Sometimes people won't put their name because, you know, they say, oh, why would I put my name? Well, if the demand isn't there, then their numbers aren't there. So that is one of the reasons why they don't look at our area when it comes to funding or to build or stuff like that. Because, you know, if only 10 people put their name on a list for low income, they're going to go with the region that needs it the most. So if we know of families, or if you hear, tell them to reach out to the office. There's an office at the high school. And that's a place where, you know, they could put their name for whether it be the daycare or DSAB. And there's other programs out there to help families that need some support. So that was good information. The Rapids, I believe, are playing home this weekend, Saturday here in Noelville. So if you're out and about, you can go watch them. And there's also many of our local people playing in the St. Charles Family Tournament this weekend. So good luck to them. And that's all I pretty much have to report on. So with that, I need a mover and a seconder for a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Councillor Roger and Councillor Bob.
It's moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2025-06 being a ballot to confirm the proceeding of council at a meeting held on February 5th, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All those in favor? Good. And I need a resolution to adjourn. Councillor Dave and Councillor Dean. Thank you for joining us. Glad you have heat,
good night.
Giselle. Have a good
Have a
night.
good night, everybody. Be safe.